Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Julia, the gringa living in Chile. If you don't know me, that's exactly what I am. I am a gringa that moved out of the US a little over a year ago. I share everything about my experience, my thoughts, my opinions about living abroad as a gringa. If that's something you would be interested in, I would love it if you hit subscribe down below and support my channel. It means the world to me. So what better video to make than to fully break down what it's like to live in a foreign country as a gringa? So that's exactly what I'll be talking about today. So if you're interested in that, let's get into it. First of all, I am speaking on my experience as a gringa that is living in Chile. Now, if you're a gringo or a US American that is living abroad in another country, your experience will probably be very different than mine, but this is how things work for me. So first of all, let's talk about preparing for the move. That was a really crazy experience. I think people underestimate how hard it is to actually give away all of your belongings, pack everything you have down into like 3 suitcases, leave a country knowing you're not coming back. That is extremely, extremely hard to do. And unfortunately, one of the hardest parts of that for me was I had to leave my dog in the US with another family. We did give her to a trusted family and we left her with them, but that is still to this day one of the hardest things I had to do in order to move here. If you know me and you know past me in the US, that dog was literally my baby. I had her before I had kids, before I met my husband. She had always been with me through turning into an adult, going to college, doing all the things. She was there through it all. And that is still to this day one of the hardest things that I had to leave behind in order to come here to Chile. Some people will say, oh, but you can like put dogs in planes and things like that. But we really looked into every imaginable option and nothing was working out to get her here, and it was going to cost us upwards of like $3,000 to $5,000 just to bring the dog here, and we really didn't have that money. I mean, you guys know when we were in the US, we were very, very poor, and so we really spent everything we had just to get here. We didn't have the extra money in order to bring her, so the best thing we could do was find her a safe and good family and leave her with them. I mean, we really tried everything to bring her here and it just wasn't working. I mean, we even looked into how much it would cost to hire a private plane to bring us to Chile just so that we could have our dog with us when we came here. But that ended up coming out to be thousands and thousands and thousands more dollars than we were planning on spending. And we really just didn't have the money. But it is the hardest thing in the world to leave behind a companion, a pet that you really, really love. And yeah. And I've had people ask me in the past, like, how do you overcome that? How do you get through that? How do you grieve the loss? Because it is a loss. How do you get through that? And really, honestly, I don't have the answer. I mean, there's not a lot of support for this kind of situation. It's a very unique situation, but if you are in it, I hope you know that you are not alone and you are not a bad person for doing that. And as long as you find a safe place to leave the animal and a safe family, I really feel like if it's what needs to be done, it's okay to do that. Of course, this may make people very angry, and that's okay. I know a lot of people are very emotional when it comes to their pets, and I understand. People say they will go homeless for their pets, and I understand that as well. And before I had kids, I probably would have said the same thing. But once you have a family of your own and your own children, unfortunately, life doesn't work out in those ways anymore, and sometimes you have to make sacrifices that are really painful and really difficult to make. The other thing that really shocked me about leaving things behind was I didn't expect to miss like my home decor. It seems like a very surface level thing that wouldn't matter, but when you come into a new country and your whole world has changed, and then you go into a new home and the houses look completely different. I mean, you have like like the US style houses, and then you have Chilean style houses, and they're very different. Yeah, I think it would have helped me a lot if I would have packed some of those decorations that kind of made my home feel like a home in the US. I really didn't think that I needed them, and it felt kind of stupid to bring them, so I didn't. But after a couple months of being here, and when culture shock really starts to hit you, I will admit there was a time where I was like, wow, this does not feel like my own house. Like, we didn't have the money to go and decorate our house the way we wanted to. So it was really just basic necessities in our house, and it didn't feel like mine. So I do wish I would have brought some of my own, like, personal decorations from my house in the US. I think that would have helped me to feel better with that transition. So, you know, there are a lot of things that I expected myself to miss that I really don't. Like things like the food in the US, or certain stores in the US that I know I can't access here. I really expected that to be the big thing that I miss, but really, it was the small things, like the decorations in the house, or the very personal things like my dog, that I do miss a lot. So now let's talk about moving to a foreign country and you don't know the language. Whew, that is a tough thing to do. If you have ever done it, I am so proud of you. And at this point, you can do anything. If you can overcome a language barrier and learn a new language while living in a new country, you're unstoppable. You can really do anything. Like simple business transactions or whatever just feels so much easier, so much lighter. The decisions are so much easier to make because you have really done probably the hardest thing that you can do in life, is to leave everything behind. And not just that, but now you have to start this whole new life and learning a new language. And it's not easy. I have said it before and I will say it again. Learning a foreign language has to be the most humbling experience anyone can go through. You start talking as if you're a toddler, but you're an adult. Like, that is such a difficult thing to get through and overcome. And it's not something to be taken lightly and seriously. If you have done that, I am so proud of you. Going off of that, one of the hardest things for me being here and not being fluent, because I do speak some Spanish, un poco español, pero no es bueno. But I do speak some Spanish. But the hardest thing has to be when there is some sort of medical emergency or medical need, and you are trying to communicate with doctors, nurses, and everything. And as I'm sure you know, if you are learning a foreign language, you're not picking up on every single word people say to you. So I will get bits and pieces of what they're saying, and you kind of have to put it together like a puzzle to understand the whole point. So it's very stressful in situations of emergency when you're trying to understand a foreign language. That has to be the hardest part, 100%. Other thing relating to that too is when you're in an emergency and you're in like this fight or flight, like you are just autopilot functioning. The first thing you automatically want to do is speak your native language. Like, it is so, so, so challenging to speak a foreign language in the midst of high emotions, high stress, emergency situations. That is the ultimate test. But like I said earlier, if you can make it through a situation like that, especially of heightened emotions, anxiety, stress, everything like that, if you can make it through that in a foreign language, you could do anything. I mean, you've got it, girl. Like, that is the hardest part of all of this, is managing the emergencies or the very emotional or stressful situations. And if you can get through that, there's nothing you can't do. So I will say, with learning the language, when I first got here, I think it was so much of like, my whole life was changing, that for maybe the first 4 or 5 months, I really don't think I picked up on that much Spanish. I wasn't learning that much. I was really just learning the new culture and the new way of life and how we do things here and getting adapted to all of that. And then once you start to feel more safe and comfortable and feel like this is your home, that's when the learning begins and you actually start to pick up on the language. And for me, I felt very guilty about that for a long time, because I was like, gosh, why am I not learning this? Like, I've been here 5 months and I'm still just not getting it. And eventually now, yeah, it's been like a year and a half ish. And I'm definitely starting to pick up on the language really well. I can understand people talking to me and I can communicate my needs to them. Maybe I can't express everything in as complex of a sentence as I would like to use. I'm still using some childlike language here, but we will get there with time, and that's just how it goes. But I will say, learning a foreign language is so much easier when you actually live in the country and you're kind of forced to be in situations where you have to know the language to survive. It's kind of like you don't have a choice but to learn it. So for me, I have seen great success with doing it this way. It's very challenging in the beginning, I won't lie to you, and I'm very blessed to have my husband who is bilingual, so he could help me in the beginning when I didn't know anything. But over time, yeah, it just kind of naturally happens. You just kind of learn. I mean, there's really not too much stress that I have to put on myself to practice or to learn because the opportunities are there all day, every day. Do I like speaking Spanish? Absolutely. I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit surprised by that because all of my content is in English mostly. But the reason for that is mainly because, like I just explained, my language is not good enough to where I can form like complex thoughts or really get my deeper points across. And so my vocabulary is still pretty limited. I think I'm doing really well, but I still have a long way to go. And so for that, I really do just prefer to speak in English so that I can make my points clearly and not be misunderstood or worry that I'm not saying things the right way. Like, I just feel more comfortable, especially in front of a camera, speaking in English so that I can express myself in the way that I want to. Absolutely. I love speaking Spanish. I think it's so cool to be bilingual, and I really hope that I will be fluent here soon, and then I will start making videos in Spanish as well when I'm more comfortable and just more confident in it as well. But for right now, yes, I do mainly speak English in my videos, but don't be mistaken, I speak Spanish all day, every day. Parenting in a foreign country is also something that is pretty unique. It's a lot different than what I expected. I really didn't think that a lot of these parenting things would be different here. However, they are. The biggest one that I have noticed is I have always done something called baby-led weaning with my kids. Both of my boys have done it. Is you start the baby on solid foods rather than purees, and I think that's not a very common thing here in Chile, or maybe it's a very new thing that only this generation has started. But all of like the abuelitas and abuelos and everybody is just very scared, even now that my son is like a year and a half old, that they're like, oh my God, he's gonna choke. Like, is he okay to have that? I'm like, no, he's okay. Like, he knows how to eat the food because he always has. But a lot of people in my family and friends are very nervous about that. So that was a very different thing that I was kind of surprised about. You know what else surprised me about parenting? And this is kind of funny, but a lot of people in the US talk about like Latina moms, like with the chancla, and like they're very like firm or like very strict moms. But here in Chile, Latina moms in Chile are not like that. Like, really, there is no la chancla here. Like, the moms here in Chile are very, very loving. I would call it like gentle parenting. It's like, paternidad con cariños. Yeah. They're very, very gentle and loving and compassionate and patient. And I love that because it encourages me to do that too. And that's something that I always focus on doing. But I love that I have the community kind of supporting me in that too. Like, other people are doing that too. So I do love that. And I was kind of surprised by that. But not all Latina moms are La Chancla moms, you know? The food is another big one that a lot of people wonder about with me. I do love Chilean food, but I really don't think it was that hard for me to adjust to the Chilean cuisine because it's not like that different from the US. Like, it's not like we're eating anything strange that I wouldn't normally eat in the US. Like, it's still the same types of meat or like the same cuts of meat, but it's just cooked a little bit different. And it's not such strong flavors here in Chile. So I think that's something that also played in my favor with adapting to the cuisine. Like, some other countries can use like really strong spices or like just completely different spices that I've never heard of before. But here in Chile, it's like pretty simple meals that like they taste great, but there's really not anything super strong to it. Like, it's not super spicy or anything like that. So to me, it wasn't that hard for me to adjust to Chilean cuisine, and I honestly really love it. I think my favorite is porotos. And who could forget the fresh Chilean bread that is a part of literally my everyday life? I love the bread here. I think one of the weirdest things that I have had to adjust to here is that the seasons are opposite here in Chile of what they are in the US. So for me, like Christmas last year felt really, really strange. Like I didn't really feel like it was Christmas because for me, my whole life, it's always been snowing and cold and winter. And last year here for Christmas, it was summer. We were swimming every day. Like to me, it didn't feel the same. Like, of course, the love of your family on Christmas feels the same, but like the actual outdoor and the environment and all of that did not feel the same. So that is something I do have to get used to. But with time, I'm sure it'll just get better and I'll start to accept that a little bit more and adapt to it. But the opposite seasons is really, really weird. Also, like for Halloween, which is coming very soon, um, pretty much all of the decorations that I'm used to from the US and things like that, it's like pumpkins and fall and leaves and whatever. But it's hot outside here. Like it's spring here. Like we have flowers right now. So why would we be decorating with pumpkins and like orange leaves? Like it's just really, really strange for me to adjust to that, and I was surprised that Chileans still use the same style of decorating that I would use in the US, like the Christmas trees with the fake snow or like snowflakes on the windows or whatever, like the pumpkins and the orange leaves for Halloween, like that feels really weird to me, but I will get used to it with time, but that was something that was a really strange change for me to get used to. I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or anything that I'm not thinking of, definitely leave it down below and I might make a part two to this video. This was really fun for me to talk about and really reflect on the things that are different. I try not to focus on it too much and just kind of accept that this is how my life is and just embrace it and adapt to it as new things come up. But it is fun for me to look back and be like, huh, this is different. Like, I didn't notice that. But this was such a fun video to make. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below and support your girl. I appreciate it so, so much. And of course, if you have any questions or just recommendations for what kind of video you'd like to see from me next, leave that down below in the comments. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.